think we're ready to go now. All right. Welcome everybody to our session. Like I said, this is a disability and dyslexia support session. So we're going to talk to you about the support that is available for our team whilst you study with us. So before we start, just want to make you all know that we are recording this session, and the recording will be made available to you at a later date. So if you don't wish to be featured on the screen or seen in the recording, please ensure your cameras and your microphones are turned off. And we have the Q&A function, so please feel free to ask some questions using that function, and then hopefully throughout the presentation we'll be able to answer all of your questions. Okay, so just going to hand over to my colleague.
Okay, thanks, Jennifer. My name's Josh Ward, and I'm one of our disability advisors here at LSBU. So we're a team of 4 advisors. So there's myself, there's Jennifer who's on this presentation, there's John Moyer and Jennifer Richards, and then Jonathan Thompson is our disability and dyslexia support team manager. So we've got our email address there, so it's disability@lsbu.ac.uk. So you can pop us an email at any time if you've got any questions, and we'll include that email at the end as well, just so you've got it down.
So I'm going to talk about what we can do for you. So our team is really about making sure that there aren't any barriers to your study. So if you've got any particular needs, medical condition, long-term mental health condition, we do encourage you to get into contact with us so we can talk about support. So what we do is we assess your support needs, and you can contact us at any time, you know, during your time at South Bank, but we encourage you to contact us as soon as possible. And what we do is we agree some reasonable adjustments, and we draft what is called a support arrangements form, which we're going to talk a bit about. We do screenings for specific learning differences, and we're going to talk about how you can access that screening and what that could mean if then later there's a diagnosis that is made. We signpost students to other relevant support services and teams within the university. So if you needed any other kind of help or support to help you engage with your studies, we can do those referrals. And we're going to talk a bit about disabled students allowance, how to apply, and what support you might get through DSA. And during the time of your course and whilst you're studying with us, we provide some ongoing assistance and support, and we do provide training as well to staff members and students with disabilities, just to make sure that actually that you have as much information as possible about the services that we offer.
Great. So as Jennifer mentioned, we offer screenings for specific learning differences. So this includes dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, ADHD as well. So these are free and confidential, and they're available during any time of your course. But if you think you might have difficulties related to one of those, then we'd encourage you to do the screening as early as possible. And so you can complete the screening online for a program called Quick Scan. So that's available through our website and also on the library website as well. It's a just kind of short screening, shouldn't take more than kind of 20 minutes. At the end, you'll get a bit of a report that will just explain kind of strengths that is found from the screening, but also areas where you might need additional support. And it might identify that you have indicators of dyslexia or dyspraxia on there. So if your report does show that, a disability advisor will get in touch with you and kind of let you know about the next steps. And that will be to book you in for a further assessment with an educational psychologist. At the moment, you'll have that remotely, so over a video call, and we can kind of help you get that all booked in. And then kind of based on the outcome of that assessment, it might be that we need to put additional adjustments in place for your course. You might also be eligible for some additional funding called Disabled Students Allowance, which we'll talk about shortly. But we can kind of help you through the process of this. So if you think you might have difficulties related to that, or you want to do the screening, then just get in touch with us and we can send you the link for how to do that.
So I'm going to talk to you about our support arrangements, particularly support arrangements form that we compile with you. So it's basically a form which details all the reasonable adjustments that we have agreed. So once you've been able to provide us with appropriate medical evidence or report, or anything that really kind of identifies what your disability is, and we will discuss with you what the reasonable adjustments are and draft these support arrangements form. So once we've got your consent, we do need to have your consent before we can share any information with any relevant members of staff at the university. So we'll encourage you to give us consent. There's a form that you need to sign. We can then make sure that your support arrangements form is shared with the relevant members of staff. So it's normally shared with the course director. We've got our student engagement teams. They manage some of the exam support, the library, and any other relevant team within the university. So for like health and social care students, that might be occupational health or any other basically relevant team that would have contact with you and they may be responsible for ensuring that the adjustments are in place. So we don't share any medical evidence, so just to let you know, but the adjustments and support arrangements form will include some of the adjustments that are listed here. So it talks about extra time, so extra time for your assessments, so for your essays or assignments, and extra time for exams. It actually details what specific extra time that we've recommended. At times, we may need to talk or liaise with the academic members of staff about recommending an alternative assessment. If that comes up in our discussion and actually it's necessary, we may need to contact the course team about discussing an alternative type of assessment to the one that is set, and that will have to be agreed with you and also will feature on your support arrangements form. Talks about any modified materials or resources that you might need access to. So all your materials and stuff will be online actually, so you should be able to modify the materials once you pull them off Moodle or whichever systems that you're using. It talks about any physical accessibility issues or needs or any changes that we need to make. Any key information for staff that they need to know about your medical condition, your disability, like if you need to take breaks or we need to kind of have more information, or you might need to take time to hear, or the lecturer needs to face the class when speaking. That information is all really important and it features on the form. So some students will have access to practical support staff. So that could be a communication support worker, for example, or BSL interpreter, or note-taking support. So actually your lecturers will need to be aware that there may be an additional member of staff that will be on hand to support you within lectures. And specialist study skills tutors on mentoring, that actually comes through as part of the disabled students allowance support, which we'll be talking a bit about later, and how to be explaining to you how you can access that support. But it's also relevant to share in your support arrangements.
Okay, so disabled students allowances. So this is a government fund that's available to home students with a disability. So the funding generally comes from your funding body. So for most students, this will be Student Finance England, and you apply for it directly through Student Finance. If you're a home student on a full-time course and you're receiving a tuition fee loan, the easiest way is to just apply for your online account and just do the form fully online, and then they'll ask you to just send a copy of your medical evidence to them to process. So it's non-means tested and it doesn't have to be repaid back, but it's not actually money that you will directly see. It's funding that's allocated to you to pay for additional support. So that might be things like equipment, so a laptop or recording equipment. It might be assistive software as well to help with your course, so things like text-to-speech or speech-to-text software. And it can also fund one-to-one support. So like Jennifer mentioned, a study skills tutor that's generally funded for students who have a specific learning difference, or a specialist mentor, which is generally funded for students who have a mental health condition or have autism. So we can help you with the application process and help you get it all set up once it's been approved. The process can take a number of weeks, so we just really encourage students to apply for it as soon as possible. But if you have any questions or you're not sure about the application form, just get in touch with us and we'll be happy to help you through the process.
So yeah, as Josh mentioned, how to apply. So most students will apply through their funding body. So and so if you're receiving any finance from a particular funding body, then you can apply for DSA through that funding body. So for most of our students, it will be Student Finance England or any of the other student finance kind of counties. Or we have a few students who are still in receipt of or are going to receive an NHS bursary. So for that, you will need to apply through the NHS bursary or BOSS account online. As Josh mentioned, that the application does take a while, so we encourage you to apply as early as possible. So once you've made application for your funding, you can then also make an application for your DSA support. Now, if you are a full-time student and you're receiving funding, you can apply through your account. But if you're a part-time student or postgraduate student, there is a different form that you need to fill. So basically, one is a short form, and so if you're already known to your funding body, you can fill that slim form in, and then there is a much more detailed form that you need to complete. So if you're part-time or a postgraduate student, you need to fill in a full form, and that's actually a downloadable form that you can complete. There is a section that the university has to complete for you, but you can send that form off without that section completed, and the funding body will get into contact with us to complete those sections. So to find out more about DSA, I mean, you can Google it, and it will give you the information about how to apply. But if you've got any questions, by all means, you can get into contact with one of us.
Okay, so more recently we've been contacting students who might be clinically vulnerable to COVID. So it's always important for us to understand any of your health needs this academic year, and it's really important that we know about any students who might fall within higher risk categories, just to make sure that we've put any support in place that you might need, or kind of put any adjustments in place due to COVID-19. So this could be due to an organ transplant, if you're undergoing treatments, or a lung condition, so things like asthma as well. If they supply to, there's a short survey that we just asking students to complete so that we can organise an appointment with an advisor just to discuss any support that you might need and possibly create a support plan for you.
So this last bit of information is about how to contact us. So we have our main disability inbox. So we'd ask you to contact us via the inbox, and or if you happen to get our individual contact details, some students have managed to contact us individually, which is fine. So at the moment, we're still offering appointments. So obviously, these are remote. So we can offer a telephone appointment. This can be via email. We are using Microsoft Teams as well for a voice call or a live chat. So that's been kind of really useful now that we've got a different modes of being able to contact students. And actually, for more information, you'll be able to visit my LSBU. So that will tell you about our service, but also some of the other teams that we work with here in the university. So we've got our mental health and wellbeing team, and we may refer you to skills for learning or digital skills. There are many other teams that we kind of work with and liaise with. So, and you'll probably be hearing a lot more about them in other sessions. So, if you've got any questions, any concerns, please contact us. Even if you are not sure whether your medical condition or mental health condition or disability means that you could access support, it's really important that you contact us just to ask that question, and we can talk to you about what is available and what reasonable adjustments can be put in place. And again, I can't stress enough that we encourage you to contact us as early as possible, so that you can have all the support in place and set up, hopefully, now that you've started, but you'll be able to benefit from that support throughout your time here at South Frank University. So we've come to the end of our presentation. So we wanted to check if we've got any questions that we can be answering for you. And so please pop your questions in Q&A, and we can go through some of those.